Now, when I think of people who best symbolise the woke generation, in fact, woke royalty, and I mean literally, I think of, obviously, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Duke and Duchess of Sussex, campaigning for a world of honesty with no media misinformation.
Misinformation is a global humanitarian crisis.
But talking about misinformation, overnight a very big embarrassment for Meghan Markle. She has admitted she misled a judge in a case where she took British newspapers to court. An honest mistake, she says. Others might suspect deceit. Markle sued the publisher of Britain's Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday after they ran a letter that she wrote to her estranged father, and which he then gave to those papers with permission to print. Markle complained that publishing her letter was an invasion of her privacy. It was meant just for her father, to tell him to stop talking to the media, and she wrote to him, stop lying, stop creating so much pain, let her and Harry live in peace. Now, Markle actually won her case, but the papers appealed, and now Harry and Meghan Markle's former communications advisor, Jason Knauf, has given evidence quite damaging to the Duchess. Now, Knauf, by the way, is the man who a couple of years ago accused Meghan Markle of bullying Buckingham Palace staff. But back to this case. This appeal. Markle has told the court that her letter was actually meant to be private, but in this appeal, Knauf says that she actually told him the letter to her father had to be written on the understanding it could be leaked. She'd written to Knauf saying, given I've only ever called him Daddy, it may make sense to open the letter. As such, despite him being less than paternal, in the unfortunate event that it did leak, it would pull at the heartstrings. Now, I'm not saying that makes Markle a liar at all. You may say, well, proves she's a schemer, but not a liar. But Markle had also told the court that no, she had not cooperated with a tell-all book, Finding Freedom, that spilled such personal details that happened to be in her favour, made her look good. But a former communications director, again, has told this appeal that is false. The Duke and Duchess, he says, later authorised specific cooperation in writing in December 2018. And Markle has now apologised to the court, saying, I accept that Mr. Knauf, who was then a staffer, did provide some information to the authors for the book, and that he did so with my knowledge. And I apologise to the court for the fact that I had not remembered these exchanges at the time. She insists I had absolutely no wish or intention to mislead the defendant or the court. She should hope so, because lying, of course, to a court is extremely serious business. Joining me is lawyer Caroline Di Russo, who is also a business owner and a columnist. Caroline, it's a fascinating case. So there's two challenges to the Markle story. The first, she said she didn't want the letter to her father made public, but she wrote it in a way that would make her look good if it was, to tug at the heartstrings. Now, like I say, I don't think that makes her a liar, but how do you call it?
Well, I call it that she may not be a liar, that's very true, but you know, when you go through court proceedings, there are certain procedures that you go through to make sure the best evidence and as much evidence is before the court so the judge can make the best decision possible. Now, these are text messages, these are emails. This is information that is material and central to the matters in issue in the case. So it ought to have been discovered. You know, real court proceedings here and in the UK, it's not like on American TV where someone just turns up one day and is like, ha ha, look at this document I've got and it's the smoking gun and it's all over. Unfortunately, real court process is a lot more predictable than that, and both sides have to give up their documents and information whether they're convenient or not convenient to their case. So if she had been thorough in collecting the information that is relevant to the case, I'd say that she probably would have come across these emails and these text messages. So she may not be a liar, but she definitely has not been thorough in my view.
That's a very interesting point. Caroline, the other challenge, I think, and I take your point about not disclosing documents, that's very serious. The other point here where her truthfulness is being challenged, or her willingness to tell all is being challenged, I think is more serious. Markle told the court she'd never cooperated with the authors of Finding Freedom, that suck-up book about her. Now she admits she did get her head of communications to talk to the authors to put her side of the story. But first of all, can you tell us, why was it important to her to say there'd be no cooperation in this book? In the context of this case, why did she have to insist on that?
Well, because it's this whole privacy issue. The issue of privacy is central to this case. If she had been involved in backgrounding for this book, well, then it would be obvious that she's giving personal information to be published, to be made public, that if you are arguing the other side of the coin, you know, you want to be able to say, well, that book is independent, that information came from elsewhere, not from me. And so I was guarded of my private information. It came from other sources. The fact that it turns out that she has she did ask for some backgrounding with the publishers is, again, you know, if this is in an email, it's something that ought to have been discovered. But in any event, the fact that it's come to light now for the court does affect her credibility. And when we talk about evidence in court, we talk about two things. We talk about admissibility and then we talk about weight. And so while certain evidence might be admissible, if you've got a witness before you that you don't think is necessarily particularly credible, then you'll say, well, that evidence is inadmissible, but it's not very weighty and the court isn't going to rely greatly on it. If this other evidence had come to light at the time, well then, you know, question marks would be raised, I suppose, in relation to the entirety of her evidence.
Caroline Di Russo, very good point. Thank you so much indeed for your time.